All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our June 16, 2025 Seaford Board of Education meeting. My name is Kim Hopkins, and I'll be presiding over this meeting. I am calling it to order at 6 p.m. The next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda as is presented.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is pledge of allegiance, a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Please be seated. All right, the next item on our agenda is approval of minutes. Hopefully everyone had the opportunity to look at the May 12th, 2025 board meeting minutes. If everything seems okay with them, I just need a motion to approve.
There's been a gentleman to accept the minutes as presented.
Pause. Ms. Karen, can you open the door for Marcus, please? Thank you. Awesome. So we have a motion with a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. And Mr. Wright is here at 6:01 p.m.
When Donnie out, he couldn't sneak in.
All right.
Remora and Dara, that was first
Yeah.
and second.
You got it. All right, next item on our agenda is public participation, and we have one blue slip for today, and that is Mr. Hollis.
Good evening.
Hi, so Mr. Hollis, the first thing we'll do, we're gonna have you tell us who you are, tell us your address, and you'll have 3 minutes to tell us what you'd like to tell us about merit and ACI. All right, go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. First, let me start with the great sincerity I can convey. Thank you for including me in your original class for the Seaford School District Hall of Fame. Extremely honored, along with Delano and Fish and Dr. Jade, to be your first class inductees that had our entire education here in Seaford. And a great feeling, and I commend you for your tremendous vision. I'd like to talk about very briefly, if the rental goes through, what will be happening on July 18th across the street here. Probably the most requested speaker in the United States right now would be here to speak. He's already presented a program to over 30 states around the United States on building families, family development. So here in the Seaford School District, we will be the first to introduce these concepts to Delmarva. And a lot of the concepts are covered in it that you will all get copies as we move forward, called The Perilous Fight, which is from our national anthem. But the perilous fight now is to restore family structure and to restore the importance of family as we move forward. I know in the 50 years of marriage, the difference maker for us has been the family involvement. And it's sort of the glue that brings you together. And Dr. Carson has become a nationally sought after speaker. He's out of politics. I wish he had listened to me 8-10 years ago, and I got involved. And he now agrees with me. He's not involved in politics. He has a very successful foundation on ACI, American Cornerstone Institute, and the focus of that is restoring and building families. And that would be the essence of the program. I've had the privilege of sharing with superintendent, assistant superintendent. I want to commend Wendy for all of her work of what the order of business would be that night. But basically, see for students, see for community, Delmarva will have access to a program that's proven to be very successful on building family strength and developing families. Can't announce it publicly, but today, another exciting development with a well-known Olympian who developed family strength, possibly be joining us. She depended on her family to do what she's done. And but those details may follow if in fact the board approves our path forward as we described. Thank you very much. And again, thank you. It's an honor that it is just beyond description being included in your Hall of Fame. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
What? You gave the microphone.
Oh, no. The trophy.
Oh, I was waiting for, communications to announce.
Okay. That. All
This is
right.
all he knows.
Okay. Hold on, that wasn't there. Okay, good. All right, next we're gonna move on to reports and presentation. The first being the superintendent's communication.
Well, welcome to summer. We made it. We got through that last week of school with exams and water days and field days and our teacher of the year ceremonies and retirees on Friday. So that was amazing, and we're going into summer now, and all of the work now, it kind of winds down for everybody else and then gears back up. The last couple of weeks, they're hard because you have kind of most of yourself in the previous school year, but you're already stepping foot into the next school year. So now we can really fully switch over and get our buildings looking amazing, work on our grants. I'm looking at my people across the back there and everybody, all the things that happen over the summer. We shared with you last month, we will have our summer feeding program. We'll have our summer services starting up in July this year. And yeah, a lot going on, and I'll be around if you need me. And we'll be on summer hours starting next week. So closed on Fridays. Most of the buildings are open 10 hours, kind of depends on who's there when. Yeah, I think that's about it. So,
All right, the next item on our agenda is board communication. And the first thing I just want to say was, I think everyone could probably agree that the graduation went very well.
Yes.
I've attended. Yeah, I attended graduation inside before in the auditorium, and it was hot, and you can only have like 2 people in there. And this time, first of all, I love how we were able to go through the auditorium, process down through the auditorium so everyone could see the graduates. And then how the graduates were like in lines of 2 filling up the rows, just like without missing a beat.
Yeah.
How quickly all of it, took place. And I actually like how close the families
I did
were
too.
to the stage, because now it's like
People.
yes, and people's pictures were clear. We see it on Facebook. It wasn't like this distorted figure, and I think that many of the families probably appreciated that too, because I thought it was way more like intimate. Like we were really like a Blue Jay family in there, so I really appreciated it. I thought it turned out very well. And then we got to attend the 8th grade bridge ceremony, and boy, how many 8th graders
A lot. 200 and something.
275, I think.
A lot, like, you almost thought it was done, but it wasn't. Yeah, a lot of kids. My mom was watching it from, on YouTube, on Seaford YouTube station, and she was like, that's a lot of kids. I was like, yeah, I said, they sure did have a lot. So yeah, all those things were,
Yeah, things went really smoothly
went
for
smooth.
the entire end of the school year.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Listen. Hold on.
So, 2 Fridays ago, I attended the transportation luncheon that they had for our bus drivers and our, contractor. Show appreciation to them. And so Miss Simmons, in her fashion, she wanted to make sure that everything was interactive. And so we played bus bingo, right? So she had these cards and everything lined up or whatever. And so, I looked at my competition, sized them up. And so I whispered to her, I waved her over. And I said, look, if I give you $1, can you make sure I get the trophy so I can leave you with something? And so that's how that.
But did you get bingo?
Not once. I told you I sized up my competition.
That was the best way.
So it was a consolation prize.
Okay. However you can get it, you know what I mean?
Oh,
But I want
God.
to tell you, I want to be honest and integral, you know what I mean? So I want to tell you the truth what happened.
What do you call
And
that?
so Mrs. O said, you should bring it to the board. So I kept it in my car so I wouldn't forget it.
I think we should put it in there with the yearbook.
You see what I'm saying?
Right up front.
But Jeff, to be fair, I mean, that you did get your participation trophy.
Well, yeah, Kim said something so smart and said.
We did have a good time though, and it's always great to be able to highlight individuals that work with us. Transportation is tough.
Yeah.
We talk about our teachers and educators, what they have to do in the classroom, but to transport students.
Yeah.
And I think about myself when I was a student on the bus, I probably didn't behave all the time. So to be moving and trying to get them home to and from safely, it's tough. So we appreciate them.
We definitely do. I can't remember who I was talking to. I always think I'm talking to Dara, but I was telling somebody, I commend bus drivers, because I'm gonna tell you, when fall and winter shows up, I can't see, I don't know how they know where those kids are coming from on 13, because I can't see the driveway, but they seem to know. So I definitely commend them, and making those right-hand turns. But I couldn't do it on one. So, yeah, we appreciate them. Mr. Wright, do you have anything for us today?
I do. Public Education Funding Commission, we finally took action. We finally got something accomplished, so, kudos, I'm not being I know it came off as a little facetious, but I'm not being facetious, it's the fact that, we got there, we got to something, we got to some consensus, we passed 5 resolutions at our last meeting, all of them passed unanimously. There was a ton of work to get to that point, to get to language that everyone could live with and everyone could agree with, it was a lot of work, so, kudos to Secretary Martin and Senator Sturgeon, and Senator Buxton and Representative Hensley, and Representative Williams, and everyone involved, just coming together and really just bringing everyone together. So I'm not gonna read the resolution verbatim. The first one essentially says that we will move forward with a hybrid model. Not necessarily the hybrid model that we've seen, but it will be a hybrid that will keep some elements of unit count while making sure that we have equitable student-based funding. So we were able to come up with some language that agreed to that. We agreed that we're going to have, there is gonna be a ramp up, it's not just gonna be a snap switch. So from the time that everything's adopted and by the General Assembly, there will be a 3 to 5 year ramp up, to get us to that new funding model, including a hold harmless, which makes sure that, as monies are shifted back and forth, no district loses out on what they had the previous calendar year. Number 3. We recommended that we are going to continue meeting because as we are currently building our model, there's still a lot of things we don't know. We don't know the results of equalization, we don't know the results of reassessments and things like that, and those are obviously gonna be factors. as we build this new model. So we're gonna move forward building what we can and then make sure we're factoring those things in to make sure that every student and every district is getting what they need. Number four, we recommend that there is a continuing body that includes members of the commission that continues to reevaluate our funding model. So it's not another 80 years before we do this again, so that the inequities that currently persist don't continue to persist. And granted, there's going to be issues, like it's not going to be perfect. This is our first time doing this 80 years. No one on the commission was alive when, when the model was built. So we don't want to run into that same situation again, so make sure that we're continually evaluating. And then our fifth recommendation or resolution was to make sure that as we're going through this progress, that as we're going through this process, that we have robust public engagement and make sure that we're actually going out and seeking it, not just, folks can talk during the meeting or whatever, make sure we're going out actively seeking, the community's input.
Good stuff. Thank you. Anyone else? Do y'all have anything? All right, very good. All right, so we'll move on to the next thing.
Oh, yeah, I do.
You do?
The
Okay.
middle school band went to Hershey Park to compete. And out of, I think it was 7 middle school bands, they came back with 3rd place. And I think
But that
that's
was-
outstanding
was that
for
to-
middle schools.
Today or?
No, it was before school got out.
Oh, okay. There's some trip, it was after school. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they did a wonderful job. The concert was phenomenal.
Nice.
As was the middle school chorus concert, so kudos to the middle school fine arts department.
Awesome.
Yeah, we were able to attend those and I think Mr. Cameron sent a follow-up note, so did I. They were very well done.
All right, next item on our agenda, 6.03 ECBCR recreational facility maintenance regulation. And that's Mr. Cameron.
Yes, so, this regulation is gonna be, the policy for this is gonna be discussed later, and we're looking for the deletion of that policy, so along with the deletion of the policy, we've been looking to remove the regulation as well. And I can kind of talk about the process, because it also involves ECBC-E next, which is the exhibit that goes along with it. What is put in place there is no longer needed because of the work system order that we now have and how we monitor the playhouse. So this was needed at the time, but it's no longer adequate for what we're doing with the workflow system. And so in consultation with Mr. Henry, this was one that we felt we could eliminate. All right.
Fair enough. All right. So you just mentioned what the exhibit, so we already looked at the checklist. So do you want to do the GBDR communication with staff regulations?
Yes, I can find it. There we are. There's a lot of.
Very nice.
Okay, it's not cooperative. I can go through. So, you're looking at GBD, the policy of the second reading of communication with staff from the board side, later in the meeting. And so working with the policy committee, which 2 of your members, Dr. Savage and Mr. Wright, sit on, we went through the regulation. There are some changes in the definitions. If you recall, by about a little over a year ago, we went through the process of changing the policy number again to get in line with the National School Association. So instead of changing the policy, we made that big math recommendation of stuff getting changed to what it's supposed to be. So GBM and GBMR are now GBK and GBKR. So it's those things, which if you recall, we talked about, we knew we wouldn't catch everything. So this is one of the things we're catching up on to make sure that we're referencing a true policy and regulation in another policy and regulation. Same thing occurs on the second page there with BD and BD-R becoming BE and BE-R. And then we discussed at length the meetings with staff, personnel groups initiated by the board. And we had a concern there in regards to the board, which was started within your rights to set up a meeting and committee, but also making sure we're following Delaware open meeting law. Because there's a reason there's only 2 members on the policy committee, because if 3 of you are on there, we have to post it as conform. So we wanted to make sure the policy worked with that. So when you see the revision in the regular part of the regulation, I should say, when you look at the regulation, that was, put that in there to make sure everybody understands that we're following that. So if there was ever a time the board put together a committee that had more than three, you would have to follow the posting of a meeting and everything that goes along, because it'd be an open meeting. So we want to make sure that was clear, because it wasn't really before that. So that was the discussion with GBD -R.
All right, very good. All right, so the next item on our agenda is school choice. And we actually do have some on here. So Dr. Benson?
Got it? You ready?
I am.
All right, Jeff Benson, I make a motion to approve school choice applications 2026-35 through 2026-41, and to deny school choice application 2026-42, and to rescind school choice application 2024-57.
Motion start a second.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. If there's no discussion, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Any abstentions or recusals? And that motion will carry. All right, the next item on our agenda is facilities request. And we have several, if I can get this to open up. We have several. The first one being Sussex Tech Family Literacy Program. And we know that the adult division of Sussex Tech, they want to rent September 8th through May 20th. They'd be every Monday and Wednesday evening from 5:30 to 8:45. They will set up time is scheduled for 5:30, and then they would clean up time is scheduled for 8:45. And they're looking for it to be like 100 people, and they're looking at Central Elementary cafe, auditorium, courtyard, gym, media center, and parking lot. The next one is James H. Grove Adult High School Adult Basic Education Classes. Again, that is adult division. It is from September 9th through May 21st. This one will be every Tuesday and Thursday, roughly the same time, 5:15 to 8:45, with them setting up at 8:15, at 5:15, and cleaning up at 8:45. They're looking at the high school for this one, rooms 201, 210, 225, and 232, and also roughly 100 people in attendance. The next one would be the adult division of Sussex Tech, the adult ESL classes. This will run from September 8th, 25 to May 20th to 26th. This would be every Monday and Wednesday evening from 5:30 to 8:30. Again, with the setup time being 5:15 and the cleanup time being 8:45. They're looking at the high school computer labs in rooms 201, 210, 225, and 232 as well. And they're looking at it roughly being 100 participants. The fourth one we have is the name of the event is A Peerless Fight, God's Design, America's Hope, Restoring the Strength of Our Nation, One Family at a Time. The requester is Wendy Gutkins with merit, Mr. John Hollis with merit, Michael Burley, American Cornerstone Institute, abbreviated ACI. The rental will be for July 18th. The event start time is scheduled for 6:15. They will set up from 5 to 6 p.m. and then clean up at 9:30 to 10 p.m. They're looking at the high school dressing rooms, the lobby, the cafeteria, and the auditorium, and roughly 1,000 participants. And then the next one is Hispanic Community Prayer. The requester is Lynn Amati, Our Lady of Lourdes. That will be July 12th. The event setup time will be 6 a.m. The event will start at 8 a.m. and it will end at 5 p.m. They're looking at using the high school auditorium, the cafe, the lobby, parking lots, and approximately 700 participants may participate in that. Next one is focused on the Dream Recognition event. That is Desiree Farms. Rental date is August 15th, 2025. Event start time will be 5 p.m. They will set up at 4 p.m. and then cleanup will be at 6:30 p.m. They're looking at using the middle school auditorium and roughly 100 participants for that, or people in attendance. All right, so it's gonna be a bit. I'm used to reading one or two. So it looks like it's gonna be a whole district affair this summer.
Well, we
you
also tried to get everybody to apply this month because we don't have a regular business meeting in July. So we wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that we had everything taken care of between now and August.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a community affair, definitely. So, yeah. So if anyone has any questions, we can discuss it. If not, I would just need a motion to approve.
Workshop to move to approve the facilities request agenda as presented.
Fair said, just second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions or recusals? And that motion will carry.
I would like to speak on the focus on the dream.
Mhm.
They are doing an amazing job. They have about probably like 30 students in attendance from middle school. And they're getting a really good workout on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. And then on Thursdays, they actually have a study hall for them. They feed them each night or whatever the case may be. And so the recognition is awesome. If people can attend, if you guys can, it'd be great. But I also would love for them to come back and present in September if possible, to share the findings of what they've been able to accomplish. So my boys, they attend. So I've seen it firsthand, like they're getting a really serious good workout. So it's great for having those sports.
Thank you. I like it. So September, you said September meeting.
Yeah.
All right,
I got it.
you got it. Okay. All right, next item will be school discipline improvement plan, Seaford Middle School.
Yes, so a couple years ago, the state passed a regulation that any school that had 15% of students or 15% of any subgroup of students that had a suspension in a given school year had to create a discipline improvement plan to try to get those numbers below 50%. So both the middle school and the high school went to several planning sessions with the state, the leadership teams, and various other people, and came up with the discipline plan that you had. These have to be approved by the school board. And then sent out to the Department of Education, to be posted on our website, and so they have. So the goal is to have 3 consecutive years, where all data is, and all subgroups of students are less than 15% suspensions.
And if that happens, then what?
Then we get all the improvement.
Understood.
And you have to do 3 years in a row, and then if you hit 15% again, 3 years in a row, then you have to go back on.
So they're gonna be monitoring what we're doing. Are they providing other resources?
University of Delaware kind of partnered with them and did some planning sessions with them, and then yes, there's a session at the end of July up in Newark, I believe, where they're working on peer intervention for students. And I will say, it looks like the data this year from the high school, I don't think any subgroup will be above 50% of high school suspension this year.
Okay.
Middle school does have a few subgroups, I think, that are still above 15%. But the numbers in both buildings have gone down. You look at 2, 3, you look at
With us working with our mental health professionals, is that included, or would that count in, I guess, our improvement of what we're doing?
I mean, yeah, I think so. And I think that's part of the reason why the numbers have gone down a little bit, and just recognition of looking at students and not suspending. I mean, that's the other thing too, when you look at our data. Middle school and high school did not suspend students this year for disruption of classroom, or for small offenses that classroom teacher might write up. Almost all of their suspensions are for either fight or drugs or something pretty serious. So, the now it's kind of working with those students and trying to figure out how to stop some of those things.
Yes, sir.
Is the MTSS team or school climate team involved in the
Yes,
plan?
and we're also revamping those, along with, curriculum, we're revamping those a little bit next year. We're really kind of honed in individually on students and what's going on, and looking at the data to figure out how to help some of these kids before they get to any situation.
Right.
And there are criteria for when we decide that this is what grants a suspension and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and that's what I said, like, it basically, the only thing they're suspending for right now are the major offenses. So obviously, if there's a felony or something that's valuable, for instance, we had a student at a building that did think out of school, obviously those are automatic suspended. Right now, fights, drugs are really the 2 big things that kids are suspended. So now it's trying to figure out how to get those out of the school setting.
Yeah. I don't want us to get to a place where we have that to help make our decision, because we want to get off the list. When the kid needs to get, make sure we give that at this point, when it's needed. too, so we don't have pressure on the teacher or the authority to say, well, we got one more to go. If we do one more, we're gonna be on that list again this year. Let them know that it's okay to be on that list if it's granted.
Right.
Right.
Appreciate that support.
Yeah.
So I can also say that, and even, I know we haven't approved this yet, but even with our gentlemen's club guys, like sometimes I'll get a call before they get in trouble or whatever the case may be, they're having to come in and talk to them or whatever the case may be, which is, I do appreciate that. And we work in conjunction with them or the coaches or whatever, make sure that they get what they need before they go to that next step. So they're already somewhat working a plan before we even put it in place.
And our social workers that go zoning, then council will go into them, could get out, I think, we trying to figure out those things.
I'm also glad to hear that NTSS involved. That's a crucial piece that a lot of people don't. It's a struggle,
Yes,
to do it properly, and, I'm hoping that in your reconstruction that the deans are also aware of the vital role that they play. They are not just disciplined, they're actually on both sides. That can help too.
yeah, we want to get nurses involved in the conversation.
Absolutely.
Again, just make sure that we kind of see where kids are going through. It also supports the,
Yeah, I can say that a lot of times the ones that are frequent flyers to the nurse's office are the ones that could benefit from the MTSS. Because they're literally looking for either class avoidance for whatever reason, or they're looking for some sort of void to be filled. So either way, that would be good to have the nurses at the table, because they see a lot more people. I know that sometimes with MTSS, if they're not doing poorly in their classes,
you know.
if they fly under the radar, they don't, they don't come up as an issue for the group. But I like to give the MTSS people a list of people that come down a lot, see what's going on with them. Because generally it's behavioral.
And the classroom teachers are the first line.
Yeah.
NTSS too, so can't forget that.
All right, and this is an action item, that we would need to approve for Gary to send it off by what, January 1? I mean, July 1, yeah, I said January 1. The whole half a year, Gary, go home, you can fix this up. Oh, shucks, okay, so I need a motion to approve.
This is Darren Savage, I move to approve the school discipline improvement plan as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, and that motion carries, and sorry, Gary, Darren said July.
The other thing I'll say is, Seaver is definitely not the only school doing this, almost every. Has to do this right now.
I know, and it's almost laughable that people literally think it only happens in their district. But we know that's not the case, so yeah, it's happened up and down 13, 1, so.
And a percentage that can put you in, it can be like less than 1%. Yeah, you still got to fill out the school report.
Whew. All right, the next one is school discipline improvement plan. This one is for the high school.
Same thing, just like one put it on. And the same, Dr. Harrison took a team up, did 2 planning sessions with them as well. Then with her leadership team and her team, come up with their goals for the school, what they're gonna use this year. This one, like I said, this year, it looks like, every one of their subgroups is below 15% for this.
Now, does that count for their first year? That will be their first year date. I didn't know if it was like we started making improvements before they hit the go button. Okay, good.
Okay, good. All right, if there's no questions related to the high school improvement plan, I would just need a motion to approve.
Hence, I make a motion to approve the school discipline and improvement plan of Receiver High School as presented. Mark, let's start then.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the support staff salary schedule, and that is Mr. Cameron.
Yes, Hopkins, so we looked at policy GDBA, and you can see we basically struck the policy to kind of bring it up to date. As you can see, it was adopted in 82 and revised once in 09. So needed to look at it, and basically kind of putting into policy what our practice is. And then one to certainly add the last line that was not in there before, to make sure it's clear with everybody that all salary schedules will be approved by the Board of Education. That is something that this board has done for a number of years, so it was never in policy saying that's what we would do. So this is kind of just getting this policy up with the practices of what we are doing.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right, yeah,
That's a big catch.
and that it also is an action item, so we need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion for the bad.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda. Wait for pages, Ms. Karen, make sure we had a lot of them tonight.
We don't want you to do anything in July.
Is JIH student interrogation, searches and arrest policy, and that is Mr. Zoll.
This is again, another one that has not been updated in a long time, and I do, but looking at it, we don't need a lot of changes to it, just need to update the language. Because we have constables and a resource officer, that should be the first person, when you look at 3 on there, who should be present if they think there's a dangerous, or harmful drug weapon. And just knowing that the school officials have a different, justification to do a search that a police officer does. That's already in the policy, so we do not want that. And then also put in there if they're not available.
Fair enough. And that also is an action item, and the motion be to approve the first reading.
There's a gentleman with the first reading of JIH student interrogation presented.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion will carry. The next item, by Mr. Zoll is, JLD counseling policy.
This is one again, has not been updated since 1993, and all my counselors will be happy because it is not called guidance counselors. Counselors, so we struck guidance from everywhere, and making sure we just updated again language, from the state because of the plan that they have to, submit to the department every year.
Awesome. All right. Yeah.
What, was there any taboo in that?
I don't know if I didn't get my counseling degree, so I don't know what I mean, I'm sure there was, and that was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, not there, not
That
guidance.
changed.
I think the guidance counseling, it didn't,
Didn't convey everything.
right, it didn't, the full experience and work and professionalism of a school counselor. It's not just about like guidance, like. Better than that.
Yeah, I don't know, it's a house upstairs, so you know, it might have been his era.
Oh, again, we definitely appreciate all you guys cleaning up the language to be consistent with what we're doing, so. So that too is an action item, so we just need a motion to approve.
Sarah Savage, I move to approve the first reading of JLD counseling policy as presented.
So,
All right, we have a motion with a second, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. All right, Mr. Zoll, you're on the roll. Next one, JQ, student fees, fines and charges policy.
Don't you know, you can't take it.
Can we take it?
Yeah, I think, you
Okay.
know, we work in tandem here. So in just looking at the student fund charges, we're getting up to date on some stuff. We talked about this in our policy committee meeting. Back when this was adopted in 79, revised in 88, there were multiple rehearsals for commencement. There no longer is, there is a commencement rehearsal, but we wanted to make sure that the students can satisfy everything they needed to do beyond just that commencement, because I can tell you as a former high school principal in this district, we might have had practice on Thursday, and I might have somebody come in and pay a fine Friday morning so they can walk Friday evening. And so I guess I unknowingly violated policy when I did that, but I think it was in the best interest of the students and the families. So just trying to clean up how we do that in practice here to do everything we can to get everything clear. And we are working with, and you'll see when the regulations come up in this, that we're gonna be working on some stuff. There are some things in there that need tightened up and corrected over the time they have been. So that's the next work of the committee to get that moving. But the first step is always a policy.
I told you guys, y'all was on it this year.
Yes, they were.
We saw the piece of the diploma.
Oh, yeah, get rid of one.
Yeah, we had a big laugh.
You see, I remember sitting in this chair and I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I don't know.
But that's why, because in years past, people were, they were walking off.
Yeah.
Or.
No, so, and I do appreciate that.
Something's
I do
lost.
appreciate
You know.
But I also appreciate the laugh that it gave to us. Because when we saw it, the dude was surprised. He was showing everybody. It was like, I didn't have a problem. It says you have a fine.
Point of opinion, what do you think is more important to the students? Is it the marching and commencement, or is it
Yes.
the diploma?
Yeah.
March.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean,
I was an
not that we wanna make that like,
Yeah,
oh,
family
just
too.
go ahead, but, and as a former senior class advisor for many years, I could tell kids, this is not for you.
Yeah.
This is for your parents, so, or whoever took care of you, so I think that's a way that we could, I mean, I wasn't opposed to it, it was kind of funny. But it wasn't funny, but just his reaction. Really funny. But if they are made aware of that and they know, listen, we're letting you walk, but you owe us $5 for that book, you know, and that they don't get that diploma because they can't say on an application, high school diploma, if they don't have it.
Well, and we're working through that process with the high school and because it all seems to accumulate, by high school. Being better about communication and a timeline and notifying families and parents along the way, that it's not like this shocker in like
Now, if
April.
it can't, this makes it so clear on the parent portal
Mhm.
at all.
Mhm.
What they want, so that will pop out and that will pop in the where it's gonna begin,
But thank
for
you.
sure.
Other thing,
Y'all didn't get a chance to see experience.
we did not get to experience it.
Did you hear about it?
No, I'm hearing about it now. We didn't get to experience, no. We weren't a part of it. But my mom was like, they get their diplomas the night of, I'm like, yeah, she said, I don't remember that when I graduated. She said, I'm pretty sure it was empty and it got mailed to us. I don't know, that was 1970. Mom, I don't know. But yeah, so that was, I'm sorry we missed the chuckle that y'all experienced, but
Maybe we'll start mailing them.
no.
I was in college, I know they get some.
In college, yeah, in college, they mail it to you, that's true. All right, so that is an action item, I mean, just need a motion to approve.
Jeff Ben's gonna make a motion to approve the first reading of JQ, student fees, fines, and charges policy as presented.
Marcus, right, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. All right, that's right, you gotta keep up, y'all, we want to tell us funny stuff.
I'm looking at, I lost myself on the sheet, it's funny, it took me to a different place.
So another way. So the next item, all right, and I have it listed as Mr. Cameron for this one, is ECBC, that sounds like a group. Recreational facility maintenance policy, that's 7.10.
And this was what we talked about earlier, this would be the policy we'd be looking to delete to go along with the lead and reg and needs. So
All right, so we just need a motion to approve the first reading to do that.
Marcus, I move to approve the first reading of the deletion of ECBC recreational facility maintenance policy as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. All right, the next one that I have is 7.11 EC buildings, grounds, and property management policies. And that has Mr. Cameron.
second reading.
Okay. All right, so we just need a motion for whomever would like to take that one.
Jerry said, I'm going to the second reading of EC bills now as presented.
Jeff Ben's in a second.
All right, we have motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. The next one is GBD, Communications with Staff Policy.
Second.
And we did just see a motion to approve the second reading.
Work session to approve the second review of the GBD communication with staff policy as presented.
Jenkins in a second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion will carry. The next item we have is, 713, JHC, release time for students policy, it's also a second reading, and we just need a motion to approve, and, so you release time for students. All right, the motion and second, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Look, when they look, when the paper says two, and Dr. Sally said, second reading.
Hey, when you start.
Are you, no, you're right, it's all right. You ready? You ready, Mr. Wright?
I'm ready.
7.14, JIC, student conduct policy is also second reading. Can we get a motion?
Go ahead, all right, you got it.
Make a motion to approve second reading of, Jane. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion carried. Woo, now we're at 7.15, SEA. This, and a lot of other numbers, Seaford School District, District Administration Office Exterior Renovations, and that is Mr. Henry.
Yes. I'll see you guys in like a couple months. That would be short. So, basically, coming to you guys for approval on two projects. We have like 78 out there for the summer. Wow. So we're still doing great work for the school district. It's just 78 projects total.
I first thought it was 728. Yeah.
78 projects total right now, small to larger scale project, but these are two larger scale projects that, need board approval for over $50,000. So the first one is, the district office, front ramp renovation down here, so we finally can get rid of the orange cones that are sitting out there. They get to go away, we get rid of the birds that perch up in there and make a mess and all that good stuff, so, basically, we went out to bid and, we recognized that, I'm sorry, that First Line Contracting was the lowest bidder. And they actually did the work for us on the recently, if you remember that last summer. So we're familiar with the contractor and happy to have them back. I did a nice job with it.
Why are they so much lower than everybody else?
I really don't know, to be honest. But he's definitely sharpened his pencil and he's getting much farther.
And he's not that for us before.
Yeah, I'm not mad at you. He actually did some work on he's definitely, he felt his knack for it.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the other two, they're really for the price of business.
He's out of New York, at a GC out of New York. And, he said he better come here and work and stay developed.
Wow.
So that like saved us money, that's this, and like work, so that's the main.
Very good. And that also is an action item, if we get a motion to approve.
That's good. I make a motion to approve SEA. It was at 25-001 EAO XRN Seaford School District Administration Office Exterior Renovation presented.
There's a second.
There's a motion, we have a second, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Say that motion carries. Dr. Sharp, what is that about?
This almost the letter.
The last 2 weeks I've been writing the letter, so I have.
That guy from New York breaking down.
I'm sorry, y'all, when I said I need a motion, Dr. Sharp was like, oh. All right, the next one, 7.06. The Seaford School District, Seaford Middle School exterior renovations with the SBA underscore and all the rest of it.
So this is an ADA ramp, also out on the front entrance of the middle school. So we're just trying to keep up with a building that's almost 100 years old. So we're just trying to keep up and give it a little facelift out there and keep water from intruding into the bricks and stuff like that. So it's a small scale job, but still important. And Enterprise Masonry, we worked with in the past, they actually did some work on a new high school and some other projects that we got.
Are they here from Delaware?
Yeah.
All right, need a motion?
We need a motion.
Jeff Benson, making a motion to approve the Seafood School District, the middle school exterior renovation.
All right, with motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is Opportunity Fund waiver, and that is Dr. Jeanette.
Yes, so we receive additional funding from the state of Delaware. It is need-based funding based on the number of multilingual learners in the district as well as money that's allocated by school. We primarily use it for staffing. However, with the waiver, it allows us to prioritize why such as our family, our bilingual family intervention positions like that are not assigned to like the district as well as
Yeah, that's the newspaper, article. Everything is already been put out. So we could just need a motion.
I move to approve, I'm sorry, there was seven, I move to approve the outstanding funding as presented.
All right, the motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is fiscal year 26 tax rate. And that would be Mr. Gamer.
So I'm pitch hitting for Mr. Hill here, so if anybody's angry about the money, they can go ahead, yeah, so you have in your packet, the tax form, which the board is in charge of setting each year. It looks a little different from 25 to 26 because of the reassessments. Because of the whole fact that everything had to be revenue neutral and what it has to look like, so it looks drastically different when you look at the numbers, but that is why. So at the end of the day, looking at the rate of being the 0.3104 on each $100 of real property. And Dr. Dijon, I don't know if you have anything to add on this, but you can see that it used to be 4.1 and it's going down to 0.104. And at the end of the day, it ends up being about 3 pennies more simply because of us having to make some matching in order to get the most out of our minor cap money and some tuition things. So it ends up being, and you can look at this, but it ends up being 3 cents that generates us about $1 million.
Wow.
So this is where that proportional increase in property reassessments called for an equivalent decrease in our tax rate in order to net zero. We're not intended to have a huge windfall because of the property reassessment. And I mean, it's shocking when you look at the numbers here because we went from 4.1 to 0.31. And that's purely with that recalibration of property values. And we'll go, do we want to go a little deeper into it right now, or is that the next?
It's coming in freely.
Mr. Hill made sure to prep Mr. Cantor that we could answer all of your questions.
Lazy, don't have to.
So I'm so proud, let me just say, between Mr. Hill, Mr. Kraft, Godwin, just all the work they did in terms of running these numbers over and over and over again. And then there'd be an update that would come from the county regarding property values. And then we run it again to make sure that we were still neutral. Then we, and then they'd send us a new round of numbers. And actually, I think this one, the last round of numbers went up a little bit. So we're actually undercharging by like $8,000. So we're actually came in a little bit under, and that's okay. I was like, just we're not gonna run those numbers. Again, $8,000 over, 9 million, right? But it was really, a couple weeks there where every time Pat just walked by my office, it was, do you have a minute? Just to talk it through and make sure that we're on this right page and doing the right thing, by the community and by the district.
All right, there's no further questions that to the action item. And we just need a motion.
Jeff is on a motion to move at Y26 tax rate.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carried. The next item on our agenda is the fiscal year 26 salary schedule, and that will be Mr. King.
So if you recall, at last month's board meeting, Mr. Hill went over all these, and I have them all, if you want to look at any particular, you have them in front of you. But just a couple things on this, remember, on the local side of the para contract, the bus driver, bus aide, and teachers, that is something that's negotiated in the CBA. So that's an automatic increase that comes in based upon negotiations. On the state side, this is the preliminary approval of this that we're doing, still not knowing what the governor recommended budget is going to be when they stop the clocks on June 30th and pass the budget. If you know, DFAC met for the last time today, and JFC meets tomorrow, so we ought to get a little bit of clarity, but obviously, we have to get some stuff in place and be able to keep operating come July 1 when the new fiscal starts. So without the state budget being passed yet, we're making some of the assumptions what we have. And remember, what you are, because this is the preliminary approval, and if anything has to be adjusted, we will bring it back to that. I mean, Mr. Wright spoke about what they're talking about, the government budget, they talk anywhere from 2% to 7% increase in teachers. So obviously, if you can't start away get that. So that's looking for something. And one that I found is one that I do have up here. We got work from DOE today. New starting salary for drivers is going to be $25. Obviously, you see what we negotiate that starts at $25.25. So even though you're approving this here now, there's probably going to be an MOU done in August, because our meeting in July is July 1. We're putting the front around. By it being MOU in August, this one recalibrated based upon that, if that's what passes in the final recommended budget. So if you recall, 2 years, we signed a contract 1 year at the, I came over to the June or July board meeting. At the next board meeting, we had an MOU, because when I say change, to us, after what we negotiated. I think every year that we've had this contract, so 24, 25, and 26, we've had to do an MOU for bus driver. They increased the rate each month.
No, that's an action item. Yeah, to the motion.
Definitely, I make the motion to that. 5.6 dollars, 7. Yes.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the 2026 preliminary budget presented by.
Okay, here we go. So all this looks good to you. Obviously, the FY26 prelim looks at the numbers here, what you have over these homes, what it's being allocated, because it's not FY26 yet for us to spend any of that money. The budget reflects some savings, some of that, but overall a net increase. Most of that increase is due to the projected salary increase, they go up every year. But most of the cost centers are staying stable. and they're actually maybe going down a little bit. Just think about, and we always look at this, have this discussion. Just by folks going from year 16 to year 17, in all of our salary schedule, whatever it is, everybody going up 1 year. Costs us around $450,000, $500,000 just off the top. And that's just by going next, one step to the next. So just keep that in mind for anything that, before somebody goes from bachelor's to master's, or a bachelor's 15 to bachelor's 30, whatever it happens. So that's all we can look at. Preliminary budget. The buildings are right now currently at 75% of last year's number. That's not knowing exactly what the government recommended budget is going to be. And remember, a lot of that finding is off that Mr. Hill makes the determination of how much he building gets based on people. So this kind of feeling, once the government budget passes, will be another number. And then November or December, finalize the unit count and everything's done, will be a final number, will be the final number. So that's what we have there. Do you want me to make note that Mr. Bill wasn't good with this money? The increased student services for the local match on the weapons detection. That is because the grant, so we're taking together that cost grant. You have to match a certain percentage of it, so we have to do that increase to make that match. So increasing there saves us money on the market grant that part of the grant. Any questions on operating?
But one thing I can say is, got to be proud that the board is being what's happening, that going up, so that feels like.
We appreciate it. All right, that also, I don't think innovation.
I make a motion to put it on there. Well, there.
Oh, no, hold on.
The element part of it, the things on there.
I think we should pause.
I think it was Dr. Benson letting you know that our salary for.
Okay, everybody's anxious. Yeah. The tax collection, obviously, it hasn't started yet for FY 26, but it's expected at $10,682,314.1 So, I just make sure that was sent in. The majority of the increase, tuition, MCI, and burn expense. Burn expense numbers are inclusive of what's allowed for the increase. Remember, the current expense is only about 2/3 of the school tax. That's about 82% of the tax bill. And that's important for everybody to remember, because reassessment, talking about 10% is not 10% on everything. 10% is just, it's 10% on the 82 as we go. And remember the law of thirds with this, Dr. Bishop talked about before. A third of those reassessed are going to go down, a third are going to stay the same, a third are going to go up. So that all comes into play here. Over the year, we have seen an increase in property value that are included in the calculations theoretically, numbers based on the assessment from FY 25, not FY 26, which is what Dr. Bishop would talk about earlier, that 10% reassessment you're allowed to do helps take care of that year that the reassessment occurs, so you don't lose out on that money. So that's on the tax collection side. If you look at the set aside for FY 26, it's still at 2.95 million. There was some, we're going to talk about this next budget, but then when I get the update from the mayor from financials. Keep in mind, we had to use some technology, but that's going to get backfilled by the grant.
What by July 1?
I think what you wanted to show here is that it would be 2.95. Remember, this is the prelim budget we're passing, and when the money comes in, it's back. So you're prelim extending on.
Okay, so the 2.9 for the prelim.
It's gonna go down, then it's gonna go back up, and by the time you approve the final budget, it will be down and out.
Yeah.
Okay.
The preliminary doing this, and so we have to, after that, until that money get ready to get to rebated back to us.
No, yeah, no, I was following that part. I was just, I know the next time we meet is July 1. So that's my question was,
So it'll be, yeah,
okay,
there won't be this business that takes place in July 1.
all right, fair enough.
Revenue on here, once again, this is the prelim of this, remember, we'll get better numbers after the count, remember, budgets after the count, we get that verified. Usually it's December 14th, you don't have that number sometime in November. Local funds reflect those items, tax projections based on 26 tax rate. Federal funds this time match what is in Dr. Jeanette and Stacy Solly grant app, so that's what the kind that's based off of. Unit count tax rate approval and federal funding proposed is only for the preliminary budget. Anything that has to get fixed, like it always does, is when we do the final budget later.
And this is the one, remember, this is the all funds, so they're starting to reflect those federal funds as well, some of those categories that previously we didn't really talk about, and gave the perception that we were handling less money than we actually are, right? I mean, that's almost $68 million as an organization, and it shows all. I think that's really good.
Now you any questions or I seek approval of this option.
All right, there's no questions. Could we get, a motion for the preliminary budget?
Yeah, basically making FY 26.
Right.
All right, so a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the financial report. And that's.
I just like Brett showing having this books back. As you know, yeah, as you get to the months end, you're 91.8% of the fiscal year, or 81.7% for expended or encumbered. Sitting about 86.46%, so that's where you want to go on that side. Once again, the student service increase was for reporting purposes, inclusive school climate. On May 1st, we'll send the dreaded message everybody gets that they were starting to shut down the process, get the POs done, get everything in. But the system shuts down. So you have what's out now. Due to some stuff that Mr. Hill has done with what goes on in the finance department and in schools, it allowed to have things open a lot longer than in the past. So that was something that even though I think there was a little bit of groaning about the change of procedure at first, they saw this at the end, it's like, oh, this actually benefited us. So that's one though. Tax collection, just over 350,000, with about 13,000 delinquent. At this point, you're just 77,000 short of 2025 collection. We'll beat this, but it's important to note this. I want to make sure this is not on record. We're actually over 800,000 short. But the delinquent years, senior and disabled veteran tax credit are making up the difference. And the other reason for people our tax collection needs. So even though it looks like we're collecting everything, what's making up the difference is getting folks with delinquent before some of those credits. So people are not paying hourly, catching up on. So it's just something to keep in mind that even though it looks like, hey, we're getting over 100%, really not. But it's just like getting that revenue passed, keep paying. Set asides, we kind of talked about where we are with this, and we'll get full on that. But why you see expenditures there with the technology, because that E-rate will come in later down the road, it gets back. Set aside. And then on our monthly revenue, the cafeteria is actually over budgeted, and it should have been lower as far as setting the final budget after working with nutrition and kind of determine this working on together. So the overall receipts today are about 63.5 million. Transportation state salaries for still anticipated and, they worked through the way the transportation salary, it's a little tricky, so it's a little bit different on the structure. So it's where it needs to be. The fact that you're under transportation costs relates to the revenue should be lower, so that's something that he's working on. Considering, but overall, the end of the year, where we anticipate to be. You can actually look better than we anticipated to be. So, that was good projections from the field.
Share that information. Press.
Well, they're, I'm pretty sure they're watching, so hopefully they report on it, but we, as far as some other stuff we do. Yes.
All right, this also is action item, thank you, get the motion.
Works for the financial report system.
Second. Motion is second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Relating to the long range agenda, it's pretty short, we will be closed for GT. And then July 1 will be our board meeting for our reorganization at 6 p.m. in district office. Next week. Yeah, next week.
Yeah, this is a holiday Friday.
It's I wasn't here anyway.
But it is important to note that, you know, it's a 4-day work week for people that are calling and they're trying to get someone up Friday, it's not. It's not gonna happen.
That's why we just break from the start, even if it's not technically a 4-day week, we close on those Fridays just to be consistent now.
Sounds good. All right, now we need a motion to go into executive session out of public session to talk about personnel matters, legal updates, and student matters.
Works for us.
All right, we have a motion and second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries, it is 7:12 p.m.